Hey everyone, it's DJTyrant for Blizzplanet.com here with Ray Cobo, Senior Game Producer for World of Warcraft, Mists of Pandaria. We're here at the event for the launch. You can hear the crowd behind, I'm sure. Let's just dive right into some questions about Mists of Pandaria. I guess it's pretty well known that Mist was delayed a bit, and we were left with 9 months of essentially no new content in World of Warcraft. What are Blizzard's plans for speeding up the content coming out in this expansion?
Yeah, we have a lot of patches that we're working on right now in terms of the content that we're trying to put into it. We don't have a definitive number of patches that we're kind of settling on, but we definitely want to bring out content a lot sooner to the player base. So we're coming up with plans to kind of do that, and hopefully we'll get that sorted out. But we're not really planning for a 9-month delay on any content at all.
I don't think you ever do.
we don't really ever do, yeah. But I think that it's one of those things that just kind of we're perfectionists at what we do. We want the game to be great. We realize that players want content sooner and faster and all that stuff, but at the same time we want it to be good.
So kind of going along those lines, I think a lot of people thought there was a lot of subscriber losses over the past year or two. And that might have been part of it. What sort of new stuff is Mists of Pandaria bringing to World of Warcraft to bring some of those old players back in, and even new players who may have not have experienced World of Warcraft yet?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, love them or not, believe it or not, a lot of people love the pandas and are very excited about it, and as well as us. We're thrilled to kind of finally get this out there and have everybody play and jump into it. We've been having a great time with it. But I think we're looking at Mists of Pandaria as kind of a way to expand the type of gameplay that we're doing for our player base. So we realize that there's a lot of different play styles for when it comes to World of Warcraft. Everybody has a different way to kind of look at the content. So whether you're a casual gamer, whether you're a hardcore gamer, we really want to make sure that there's content there that's going to keep you busy, entertained, having a good time. And there's probably a lot more of that in Mists of Pandaria than I think we've ever put into any of the expansions so far, barring the original vanilla WoW. So we're hoping that there's a lot of stuff there, and that's going to provide incentive for people to kind of continue playing, and also bring in new players as well.
Cool. So what we've heard is that there's some new technology for this launch that doesn't require server restarts or players relogging. Players right now will be able to stay on. 12:01 will hit, and they'll be in Mists of Pandaria.
That's right. If you have pre-purchased Mists of Pandaria and you're online at midnight, you will automatically be flagged as ready to go in and start your roll a panda or go to Pandaria or whatever you want to do that's got the new content.
Can you tell us a bit more about this tech? Is it just for these expansion launches, or are you going to further expand it to maybe patches and being able to live update basically the game as you're going?
Yeah, I mean, we're constantly improving the technology. We're constantly looking for ways that we can streamline stuff and make things easier for the end user. So we want to be able to add that kind of convenience. So absolutely, I think we're going to look at ways to kind of push that out and roll that out for patches coming up and future expansions as well.
Okay. Kind of going a bit further into the game, with, I guess, regards to raiding and gearing up. How are players going to be getting epic gems this time away? Are they prospecting bosses, transmutations? What's the mechanic going to be this time around?
Well, there's a lot of different ways that that you're able to kind of gear up your character and kind of modify the way you look and the way you kind of your specific gear. Not only are you going to be able to get stuff off bosses, but we've also added kind of mystery boxes and chests throughout the world that you'll find along the way. One of the cool things about raids now, or even dungeons, is that players would get accustomed to kind of going in one specific way, and you do it, and you wouldn't really explore the dungeon, or you wouldn't really explore the raid area. But we've actually sprinkled in things that are beneficial. We've actually sprinkled in things that are beneficial to trash. You always got to clear the trash. First clear the trash, then do the boss. So we're hoping that there's a lot of different ways for players to kind of get epic gems and epic loot as well.
So going on some tech you guys introduced in the recent 5.0 patch, with cross-realm zones, especially on PvP servers, there's kind of a concern over Horde Alliance balance ratios. Are you guys working towards rectifying that, making it so that leveling zones are able to be leveled through even with the PvP stuff involved? Because if you have 20 Horde players and 2 Alliance players in the zone, you're kind of SOL at that point.
Yeah, absolutely. We're looking at that very closely, and we've got our engineers and the server guys working on that very closely. We're hoping that it brings a quality of life, that the whole cross-realm thing brings a quality of life aspect to World of Warcraft that we hadn't seen before, and the motivation behind it is just to kind of make the world feel more populated, more full, and you can interact with the players. Now, the downside of that is that yes, you may encounter situations that aren't ideal, but we're definitely constantly looking at ways to make sure that it's a fair environment.
So going a bit more into cross-realm zones, there's been definitely a lot of issues with it, and one of them was the Stranglethorn fishing extravaganza. Are there any details about how you're going to resolve that? Because you guys have basically canceled it for the time being until there's a fix for it.
Yep. I don't have any details specifically about how we're tackling it right now, but we are well aware of the situation, and we're definitely going to take steps to kind of make that better as soon as we can.
And kind of back to some just overall stuff. Mists of Pandaria is releasing tonight, obviously, and we have a new Windows OS on the horizon with Windows 8. We already saw Rob Pardo on Twitter kind of talk a bit about Windows 8, and it doesn't look that great for you guys. How are you guys preparing for WoW with Windows 8 coming out?
We haven't really, at least not from my perspective, we haven't talked about too much of the tech stuff and kind of the next operating system as much. I know that there are discussions with Windows about what's involved and all that stuff, but I think from my perspective, we're looking at the game and we're trying to make sure that the gameplay and the content there is 100%. If you look at WoW, from when it started a couple, 7-8 years ago now, it's effectively the same engine that we've been using all this time, and the technology running that game is amazing because we've been able to, if you look at the game today versus the game when it first launched, it's night and day. It's beautiful. Players are going to get an amazing view of the world when they get to Pandaria, and the stuff that we've been able to put in there is incredible. So I don't doubt that we'll end up, evolving to the next step and whatever that needs to be for whatever the next OS is. But I think right now the focus is on how do we make this expansion great, and what do we need to do to kind of stay current with the next round of things.
Kind of a personal question. What feature in Mists of Pandaria are you most excited to see fans' reaction to?
I would have to say challenge modes. I'm going to be really interested to see how players react to that. I think it's one of those features that I'm really excited about. I know a lot of the team is really excited about. And I think dungeons have turned into something that you kind of queue up for randomly over the years when we first launched LFD. And so you're effectively running a dungeon with a bunch of strangers, and you're just kind of doing your thing and getting through it, and you get your stuff, and it's nice to meet you, see you later, I'm out. And that's it, right? But challenge modes actually gives you an opportunity to kind of say, hey, I want to go and run a dungeon, and I think we can do this really awesomely. I think let's try and get a gold medal this time. And you kind of group up with friends, and it brings a little bit more of that social aspect to the challenge modes and that kind of hardcore aspect of the challenge modes where you're kind of really pushing yourself and your team to get the most out of it and then get that awesome gear.
Kind of a follow-up question, might be even the same answer here, but what feature in Mists of Pandaria are you most nervous about seeing fans' reaction to, good or bad?
Challenge modes,
That's what I thought.
I think it's it's one of those things that it's a new feature, it's a new tech, and it's something that we're hoping that people gravitate towards and like to do. I think another feature that I'm really interested in seeing what kind of reaction to we're going to get is the pet battle system, right? I think it's got a lot of promise. I think there's a lot of fun in it.
I have a lot of friends who are really, really excited for it.
Yeah, me too. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. But it's one of those features that doesn't go towards evolving your character and making your character better, right? It's just kind of a little mini game on the side. But it's a really fun mini game on the side. So I think
following up on that, then, how long are the pet battles? I haven't had a chance to play them on the beta yet, but
Well, they can range from a few minutes to or a few seconds to a few minutes kind of thing. It can be short or long depending on how long it takes for you to kind of strategize and figure out what you want to do.
So all my friends are going to be doing it during raid breaks.
Pretty much. If you wipe, and then you're gonna have to all right, everybody, put the pets away. Let's go next boss. You know? But yeah, we think it's going to be a lot of fun. We're really looking forward to it. We've had a great time playing it internally. And we've made a lot of tweaks in the last, couple of weeks and months that we think is going to be really, really good.
So going a bit to more of the hardcore players and the competitive scene, we have the Blizzard World Championships. I'm sure you're aware of that,
sure,
of course.
I have heard of them, yes.
All the region finals have been on Cataclysm. Is the World Finals going to be on Cataclysm even with Mists of Pandaria out?
I don't know if we've talked about what we're going to do for BWC yet, but we do have plans to kind of show some new stuff. I don't know exactly what that's going to be just yet, but I'm sure everybody's going to enjoy it.
So I guess follow up to that, maybe you can give me more here. What kinds of things can the competitive gamers look for, the hardcore competitive gamers, in Mists of Pandaria? I mean, there's always arenas.
Yep.
But anything new there? Any kind of cool new tricks in the maps?
For PvPers, we got the battlegrounds. We got a couple of new battlegrounds that are very unique in the way they kind of play out. One is in a mine, and another one is kind of it's different.
The death ball map, right?
Yeah, it's the one where one player basically grabs this object and needs to hold on to this object for a certain amount of time, and the longer that person holds on to it, the more points that team gets. But the longer that person holds on to it, the more damage they take. So you constantly have to have healers on that person, and then keep the other team away from them and stuff. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun, a lot of challenge with players kind of pushing themselves and pushing their skills to the limit on some of these PvP maps. And then, for the hardcore gamers, there's also the challenge mode stuff, which I think is going to bring back a lot of that, aspect where hardcore players like to really push themselves and push their teams to kind of be the best in the world. And the great thing about that is that you're going to be able to see those people in the game. So you'll see a guy who's got that amazing, gold medal transmog gear that he's put on himself, and he looks like a badass. And so you're like, oh, that guy, he's done the gold thing, and I want to do that. I want to run the dungeon with that guy. So that'll be cool.
Trying to think of just a couple more. With PvP and the new gear kind of stats on them, have you seen a pretty big difference in testing of players wearing PvP gear in PvE content, and players wearing PvE gear in PvP content? I know that's always been a very delicate balance you guys have had to dance.
Yeah.
But how has that panned out for you guys so far?
Well, I think what we've done is we've tried to narrow the gap there a little bit more to where the gear that you have on isn't going to make you completely vulnerable if you're not a PvPer, right? So I think if you're not a PvPer and you come across an area that is PvP flagged, or you get flagged for PvP, you're going to be able to kind of hold your own a little bit better with the gear that you have, even though it's not optimal for PvP. So I think that was one important thing. I think one of the things that we found was that people were kind of intimidated to try PvP because they felt like it's a whole different set of gear. I got to go through this whole stuff, and I'm never going to be able to. How am I going to compete and all that? I got to do this other stuff. Now they can actually jump into an arena or jump into a battleground and feel semi-competent and hold their own a little bit better. So we're hoping that the gap is a little bit closer than what it used to be before.
Okay. Are legendaries still going to kind of skew things a bit?
Legendaries are going to be really interesting this time around because we've decided to go legendary for all classes. So you jump in, you start your quest, and it's more of a solo aspect. You're still going to need your guild to kind of help you out a little bit, but it's not like the thing where it was before where everybody's got to give up their time so you can get your thing.
So you can hopefully get a binding off card this week.
Right. But the legendaries are going to be cool in that, it's kind of more of a solo content kind of deal. You'll still get quests inside the raid and inside the stuff, and you'll end up with getting a cool item, and that item will eventually evolve over the patch cycle. So the idea is hopefully that you stick with it, and at the end of the patch cycle, at the end of Mists of Pandaria patch cycle, you're going to have a really awesome legendary item that you can use.
Cool. Now, okay, and now final question. Maybe we can look into Blizzard's crystal ball. Metzen mentioned we're going to go roll into Orgrimmar, kick Garrosh out, and what's going to be next for Blizzard? What's going to be next for World of Warcraft?
Yeah.
Are we going to see the Emerald Dream? Are we going to go somewhere else?
Garrosh
revisit Burning Crusade type stuff?
You know, Garrosh has been a really, really naughty orc. So we're definitely going to have to deal with him, and things are going to heat up pretty good with the Horde and Alliance over the patch cycle. And certainly, you know, we're looking at Mists of Pandaria as kind of a different pace than what some of the other expansions have been up to this point, where they've been kind of, you know, death and destruction and all this stuff. And now we're kind of heading into Mists of Pandaria, which is a little bit calmer, a little bit more of a take a breath and see what the world is all about. But at the same time, things are kind of heating up with Horde and Alliance over the patch cycle. So it's going to lead into bad things coming out of Mists of Pandaria for Horde and Alliance. But it'll be fun.
Cool.
It'll be a lot of good times.
Well, this has been Ray Cobo, and I'm DJTyrant for BlizzPlanet.com. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Enjoyed
Looking
it.
forward to the new expansion.
Me too.
Thanks a lot for your time.
Thank you.